you're looking to relocate from New York to Florida, don't do it. I'm going to tell you why. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? My name is Cameron Hodge. On this channel, I talk about everything about making the move and living in Orlando, Florida. And what I love even more, besides putting out these videos every Tuesday and Thursday, is I am being a licensed real estate agent here in Florida, is helping you make that move to Orlando, Florida. So if you're looking to make the move, this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email, whatever you have to do. I'm always getting reach outs from people making the move to Orlando. I love it. Reach out, let's have that conversation and help you make that move out here. All right, so relocating from New York to Florida. So I actually grew up in New York. I grew up out in Attica, New York, which is about a little over an hour east of Buffalo. And I've also traveled to the city, been to the Adirondacks. I've lived all over not like lived permanently, but I've traveled all over the state. Like, I grew up there for 19 years before leaving the military and hopping around all over the place. So I definitely know a thing or two about what's different between New York and Florida. And I think like most people, if you're watching this from New York, is you actually, vacation to Florida a lot. It's really common. Or if you don't vacation here too much, you know someone who's older who comes here during the winter because they just want to live here during the winter season and not have to deal with all that crazy amounts of cold weather and snow that we know and love up in New York State. So, some of the big things that you need to look out for making the move is obviously, I think the biggest thing is going to be like this. There's a weather difference, right? So weather is a huge factor in people moving to Florida, and a lot of times they look at the hurricanes and they're terrified. I will tell you, looking at people from like California coming out here, I think New Yorkers are a lot less fazed by the weather in Florida, to be honest with you, because it's the East Coast, right? They grew up with it. They probably vacationed to Florida at some point. Like they're just, they're used to the different climates and weathers. Geez, is that even a word? I don't know. It is now. And so, yeah, hurricanes are a big deal. Now, here in Central Florida, like it's not too much of a big deal as it would be in like, say, Jacksonville or Miami, where you're right on the coast. You're a little probably below sea level in most places in those areas, and you're gonna really have to worry about flooding. Now, flooding is still an issue here in Orlando, but like overall, like it's not too terrible. And really, a lot of times you can make sure your home isn't in a flood plain. The house I built actually is in a flood zone technically because I'm so close to a lake by my house. So it's one of those things where, yes, like I have insurance, I pay for it, plans are in place. I've been through 2 major floods in my lifetime where the water, for even a grown adult was probably close to your waist. So I definitely understand what it's like going through a flood, and I understand like the horrors and things to look out for. But also another thing is like obviously hurricanes, while you are sheltered being in the center of the state, one thing you do have to worry about is tornadoes. So believe it or not, when hurricanes come in, when those winds pick up, like a lot of times they can create tornadoes. Obviously in New York State, like especially in upstate, like you do deal with some tornadoes, like category 1 was not a huge deal. Same concept here in Orlando. So it's not like it's super common, but it is something that does happen when major hurricanes roll through, and you always need to be aware of that. But I also tell you, like, there's also a lot of builders here in Florida that are building with steel and concrete that can withstand category 5 winds. So like, there's always like, I love humans, and especially here in Florida, because a lot of times when people have issues, like there's usually a solution that was created that probably could squash that issue that you're having. So something to keep a note of. Now, I would say, I think one of the biggest things that I was upset about coming out to Florida is the food. And it's not so much, it's when you leave New York, especially the city. If you live in New York City, like you have everything at your fingertips. But even upstate, right? Like even in the country of New York, like family pizzerias, fresh foods, subs, like it is like so common to have that stuff. And in Florida, you still find that stuff, but like it's a little bit different. That being said, if you're from New York and you want to open a pizza shop, like let me know, because I probably will you will take my business. And there's like still good pizza shops and things like that, but I wouldn't say it's not gonna be as good as it is from New York State. Like once you leave that area, like especially like Buffalo, like wings are a huge thing and stuff like that. Like it's just not what it is in those areas where we grew up and what we're used to, right? Like being in upstate, like chicken finger subs, right? Which is just a chicken finger on a sub, lettuce, tomato, mayo, or some other kind of special mayo sauce, and a chicken finger on a sub roll. Like it just doesn't really exist once you leave the state in the area. Like I've had to make it homemade before and things like that. It's just crazy. It just doesn't. I don't know why. People look at you like you're freaking crazy. Like maybe I am, but I enjoy it. Same thing with garbage plates, especially if you're from Rochester or, obviously New York City, man, you have it all. Like, so deal with it. Like, no matter what you do, like when you leave New York City, like you're not going to get the density and the culture that you would in New York City. So that's, you just have to be used to it. Now, I will tell you, Orlando and Central Florida in general is very diverse. Like there's, Hispanic culture, Asian, white, everything. Like there's cultures for everything, because it's still a city. It's still an area where people from all over the world move to. Canada, UK, I've met everyone, and it's an awesome place that I just love to live. I think for the most part, like there are always going to be bad people, but for the most part, everyone is relatively friendly, right? Even when like my wife's family comes out, like everyone's just super friendly and they just have a good time. So it's something that I really enjoy in the area, because like really you're getting the benefit of living somewhere people vacation to. But you get to enjoy, there's still a lot of different cultures, especially like, Cuban culture. They have a lot of sandwiches and like Puerto Rican food. Like one of my friends lives here, and like they have homemade Puerto Rican food. Oh, it's so good. So it's like a whole different culture of food that you get to enjoy being down here in Florida. And like I encourage you to go out there and try it, because it's awesome. But yes, like there are certain staples that you probably won't get. But if you're someone who maybe is in the restaurant industry, like maybe it could be an opportunity, because I will tell you, like I have met, so originally I've said before, I came from California. That's where I was stationed. That's where I met my wife, and then we moved out here. Like I have met more like friends, family, or people from New York than I've ever thought I'd run into. Like it's just funny. Like let's see, if you drive down to like the 6 hours to Miami, or maybe go to a Tampa Bay game, like there's probably, and like the Bills are there, like you're probably gonna have a lot of, or even like Jets or the Giants, like you're probably gonna have a lot of those fans there, because there's so many of us that have moved here from New York. And it's awesome, because you run into people like, oh my God, I'm from New York. And like, it's not even just the city, it's from like Buffalo, Syracuse, everywhere. It's awesome. And it's really weird to run into, because it's not something I expected when I moved here, to be running to so many New Yorkers. But between the whole central area, like there's just so many New Yorkers that moved here, and it's pretty cool, But I think a lot of times, like those winter seasons, they really get on you. And if you're someone like me, like, you grew up there, you're like, I can't stay here forever. I need to go try something else. So I did it. I went out there and I, moved around a lot, and it's super happy being here in Florida. But, it's not for everyone. Like you have to understand, like you're not going to have the food density that you're used to. I would say, especially if you're coming from like the cities, like Orlando, like you can live in downtown Orlando, but it's not going to be like you're living in like Manhattan, if that's your budget, or like the Bronx. Like it's not a city yet. I mean, it is definitely expanding, it's growing, but you're seeing more expansion in suburbs, and there are condo projects that are being built. So if you do like living in, like a high rise, like a condo or something like that, like, I mean, even this morning I got another email. So there's another condo complex going up near Disneyland, and it's super cool, because they are also allowing a lot of these condo projects that are even new construction. They do actually allow you the option to even short-term rental your unit. So if you're looking to, maybe you're just watching this and you're like, look, I just want to get a second home or a vacation home for during the winter. Well, that's a really common thing too. And you don't even need a full-fledged home to rent out. It might be out of your budget, but they also have condos that are new construction, or maybe even older ones, that still allow you to do short-term rentals. And even they have a management team for the condo that you can use. I will tell you, it's maybe not always the best return on investment if you are caring about the numbers. But if you're just looking to break even, like it could be an option for you if you're just looking to run away from that winter weather. Because look, I enjoy snow as much as the next one. I used to snowmobile like crazy during the winter. I love it. I'm not so much into snowboarding and stuff like that, but I'm good with not living there. I'm good with visiting snow. I'm full transparency there. I will say that one of the things I do miss being in New York is like not having like a fall. So I love the fall, especially in New York, you know, like the changing of the leaves. Well, it's really the whole Northeast too, but the changing of the leaves, maple syrup comes around, like the fall festivals. Like, sure, there's always festivals and things going on here in Florida. Like, there's still tons like county fairs and all this kind of stuff that's still going on, but it's not like the change of seasons that you would expect like in New York. And that's, I think, one of the things that really I do miss. Right, like you can travel north, like Georgia, the Carolinas, and still get like a somewhat change of seasons, but you're still having to travel there. So that's one thing that I always like let people know if they're coming from New York is like, look, you're not going to have like the changing of leaves and all that stuff that you're used to. And I will tell you, like, yes, you can still get maple syrup like fresh in the store, but like, you know, where I grew up near Buffalo, Rochester, like we had like Merle's maple syrup, and like it's so good. The maple candies and stuff like that. So yes, like obviously you can find that stuff down here. I'm not saying you can't find it, but it's not like it would be up in New York, where it's like a part of the culture during the change of season. So it's one of those things that definitely I do miss. If anything, I don't miss the winter. I'm good with that. I'm not a huge snow person, like I mentioned, but man, like you have to be prepared to not have that fall weather. Spring, I mean, so you're gonna have a rainy season. Obviously, it's from April to about November, roughly. The winters are beautiful, 75, 80. Like, humidity is a little bit less, I'll say, but you know, it's beautiful weather. During the rainy season, yeah, it gets hot, it gets humid, it can be muggy. But the winters are really where it excels. But you're not gonna see like a major change of seasons. You know, I mean, coming from California to here, California would cool off too, but unfortunately, when you leave the Northeast, like you have to give up some of those things that you know and love. But I will tell you that you could find better things that really just change it. But a cool thing is it's also because Orlando is such a vacation city that if you're worried about traveling back to the state, you're probably going to find, compared to the whole United States, a pretty competitive plane ticket to get back and forth. I mean, even like LA to Orlando, one of the clients is like, I priced it out last week at the time of this video, and she was like, yeah, it was $150 round trip to LA. And if you're going to New York City, it's going to be probably roughly around the same price. You know, obviously it always goes up, it goes down, but like keep in mind, like you might be able to be in a spot where you can budget in having family fly out to you flying out to family for the holidays. Like Orlando Airport really has like every connection because all the airlines want to come here. So it's something cool to think about. So you can make sure you keep that family connection when you're moving here and you don't know anyone. But I promise you, even if you don't know anyone, like look around. Like there's New Yorkers everywhere. Like you'll find us. I promise you. Especially if you want to go where the sports teams are being watched, you will find a ton of New Yorkers who we're here. We're here in droves. There's a lot of us. Whether you like it or not, we are here to stay. Another thing is also like obviously the laws are going to be widely different. So that's a good one too. So growing up in New York, like it is super tax heavy, one of the more tax heavy states, super restrictive laws, whether you like it or not. Now, I'll tell you, like one thing you might not be used to, especially if you're coming from the city, is you come down here to Florida, like you can conceal carry. I'm really big into guns. I love it. I believe in it full-heartedly. But if you're not used to it, like keep in mind, like people are allowed to conceal carry here, and they are pushing for constitutional carry, which means you still get background checks, but you don't have to do the permit process through the counties that you live in. So keep in mind that yes, people are allowed to conceal carry guns here. It's not like the most lenient state. So there's definitely more stricter rules than you would be in like Arizona and things like that. But it is a part of the culture. Hunting is still a thing. So if you are concerned actually about, if you're from upstate in the country and you're concerned about hunting, like you can hunt hogs, turkey, deer a little bit smaller than we're used to in New York. But all those options are still there. Fishing's huge if you like to fish. So there's so many options here. It's just you got to make sure you're good with that change of culture and weather and things like that, because it's not going to be what you're used to. But maybe you're good enough with traveling back during the fall, getting the taste of the weather, and then dipping back to your tropical paradise that you live in. So I hope you guys got value in this video. This is just a quick idea of what the difference is between New York and Florida. The biggest thing, obviously, is if you haven't been to Florida before, like take a trip down and you have to just travel around the area. Reach out to me and the team, and I will send you a hot sheet of top areas to go look at, travel around, and see. I'm looking to do, obviously, more neighborhood tours coming up here with all the craziness that is in my life and helping all of you move out here to Orlando. So if you are looking to make that move, this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.